Hello everybody, welcome back to my Let's Play of Star Trek the Star Trek Judgment Rites. Sorry. We are in the Smithsonian Annex in Nova Atar, and since that door right here was unable to be opened, we had to blast a hole through it using a magnetic lance. So now we could go to other parts of the museum and hopefully find out what's going on. What the terrorists want. I think we should wait for these to charge. Wait, I don't think it can even charge on it.
The surface of the generator is a mass of melted wiring and metal. The only glow is from dissipating heat.
I don't think it'll charge those capacitors anymore, so we may need to find another
Chekhov
way.
takes the capacitor off of the Aurora generator. Chekhov takes the capacitor.
That's all we need to know.
The engineering panel. Look what we've done.
The spacesuit.
We made a bit of a mess here, didn't we? We had no choice. Remember, who's really at fault here?
That we will, Captain.
Shattered remnants of doors, ceiling, and unidentified other things lay strewn about the room. The destructive pattern fans out from the ruined door, leaving some areas completely untouched, while others are totally devastated. Although badly scuffed, when it was blasted free of the ceiling, the gas canister and nozzle look functional.
The curator mentioned these were in each room.
We could open the door and spray it on the terrorists.
If it's fast enough to stop them from using their phasers, it'll stop us too.
And they'd get a warning if the door started to open. Time enough to put the hostages in jeopardy.
Still, we might want to take it just in case.
The gas canister is a bit beat up from the fall, but still functional.
So the terrorists are behind that door there, so should go to this one. And I didn't get to this point when we were walking around the museum there, so I'll look at the exhibits for you guys.
Security lockdown?
Kirk is now positive the diplomat's accident was no accident. Chekhov wonders if the curator has a daughter who will go out with him if he helps save the museum. Scotty wonders if he could open a museum like this in one of the cargo bays of the Enterprise. Written on the plaque, Federation Scientific Probe Model 331-19A. The 331-19A was powered by a small fusion reactor, since removed. The 331-19A had considerable range but was considered slow. The 331-19A carried a 3-ton instrument array. This has also been removed from the display model. This particular probe was used to monitor the collision of Algiers 5 and Algiers 6. One of the double stars at the core of the Algiers system had begun to collapse to a brown dwarf stage, and the resulting fluctuations resulted in the planet's orbital paths crossing, which led to their collision.
Wow, that'll be a sight to see, wouldn't it?
I've used one of these before, Captain. Everyone notices the fusion reactor, but I'll bet they forgot the fuel cell that served as backup power for the instrument package. It's probably as dry as a bone after all these years.
The plaque reads, "The Dunkelberger Automated Worker Mark 12 was a successful entry in the early days of automated labor. The Mark 12 was designed to function as a cargo helper, allowing small manufacturers to cheaply compete against large corporations. Due to their small size, reliability, and obedience, these robots were often treated like pets and given names that were incorporated into their response systems. This particular version was called Barney."
Barney? Okay.
This display is all glistening angles of crystal, written on the plaque, an early example of the crystalline computers developed by the Lantoids of Tuner 9. Supposedly impossible to access by non-Lantoid life forms, The computer works on a combination of harmonics and light transmission. The Lantoids make physical contact with the computer to operate it. It is said that listening to a Lantoid operate the computer is like listening to a complex musical score played on delicate chimes. The Lantoids view programming as an art form.
I love to listen to that. I love music.
I don't know how this works, but looking at it reminds me of the time when I was a boy working on my first electronics project. I built one of those old crystal radios. Maybe this computer somehow projects its answers into your mind.
It may be just looking at the crystals made you remember that, Captain.
It's possible. Are you now practicing psychology, Mr. Scott?
Oh no, Captain. I'm just a simple country engineer.
The schematics for a Dunkelberger automated worker Mark 12.
Maybe we could use something on one of those crystals or something.
It probably wouldn't hurt anything to take one crystal. It's just a display after all. This one looks good.
Maybe we could...
Written on the plaque.
Yeah.
The access panel is stuck, Captain. I don't think any of us are strong enough to pull it free.
Well, if the capacitor has a little bit of juice left, maybe could use it on this robot.
There's only a wee bit of juice in this capacitor, but I think it'll be enough to power up the robot. It's a tight squeeze, Captain. I don't think we'll be able to get it back out once it's in. Should I go ahead and do it?
We could use the help, Mr. Scott. Energize the robot. I should get Mr. Scott to look.
Oh.
The access panel. Barney, open the pod bay door.
Open the pod bay door, Al. Doesn't seem to work.
I knew it. They forgot to take out the fuel cell. That fusion reactor always scares people enough that they forget the backup cell. It's dry now. You'd need to wet this beauty down and get a catalyst in her.
Well, we have some cognac.
Better than brandies? More than Stums? Look out, fuel cell. Here she comes.
Now we could.
It's a good thing to build in so much flexibility. The silver isn't a bad catalyst and will act as a contact too.
So we could probably charge a conductor on her.
All hooked up and charging, Captain.
Come on.
An old-style phaser cannon capacitor.
There we go.
All ready to go, Captain.
There's a communications device in there, isn't there? Maybe we could use crystal in here or something.
This reminds me of the time when I was a boy working on my first electronics project. I built one of those old crystal radios. With luck, we'll be able to get this transmitter working. It's been a while, but I think that will work.
Okay, put the capacitor on it.
All hooked in, Captain.
Hold on, I want to save it here real quick. It's been a while since I did this.
Save new game. Replace previous game.
I think I need to do something else, but...
Gentlemen, we still need to come up with a transmitter.
Maybe this panel will work.
No, I don't think that's... No, I don't think that's... No, I don't think that...
Okay, guess not.
No, I don't think... No, I don't think that's necessary.
Need a transmitter. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry, I need to take a look at this real quick, my walkthrough here, because... Oh. Oh, that robot's following us everywhere now. Now, I will explain something. I'm not going to do it. I never done it, but supposedly there's two ways to deal with these terrorists, and I'll explain that after.
You remove the silver tray.
We needed to use the silver tray as a transmitter.
I rigged up an isolated piece of frame in there as one conducting plate and the tray as the other. It's not the best solution, but it's the best I can do here.
I don't know why I made this sound like you're water, but... So now let's use Kirk on there.
Well, let's see how well this works. Kirk to Enterprise. Kirk to Enterprise. Enterprise, come in.
Who is this?
That's definitely not the Enterprise.
This is Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. Who are you? Whoever you are, call for help. There are terrorists in the museum. This is Captain Kirk of the Starship Enterprise. I'm in the Smithsonian Museum, where hostages are being held.
Smithson? I thought it was Smithsonian.
This is Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise.
Well, Captain James T. Kirk of the Starship Enterprise, why don't you take your Enterprise and go away? We don't want any Federation interference.
Who am I talking to? Why don't you and I discuss this? Who am I talking to?
My name is Lucas. I'm a member of the Lockean family, Onakan.
Whoever you are, call for help. There are terrorists in the museum. I've never heard of the Onakan family. Whoever you are, call for help. I've never heard of the Onakan family.
It's no surprise you haven't heard of us, even though we're one of the largest and oldest families on Lockean. Just shows how much the Federation believes the lies the Soransi pass along.
The Soransi are your enemies? I find it unlikely the Federation will take sides. Of course the Federation backs the Soransi. You don't see them taking hostages and setting traps for museum curators, do you? The Soransi are your enemies?
Our bitterest enemies for centuries, and you're backing them.
I find it unlikely the Federation will take sides. Of course the Federation backs the Soransi. I find it unlikely the Federation will take sides.
If the Federation isn't backing the Soransi, how do you explain a ceremony giving the Soransi the Quelke? Obviously, the Federation believes their lies.
The Kelki? You mean the probe?
It is more than just a probe to us. The Quelke discovered Lockean generations ago. The entire race owes its existence to the Quelke.
That's interesting.
I knew it had great significance. I just didn't know there was anyone else involved. This is when the original planet was on the verge of being destroyed? I thought the Saransi ruled your race. Shouldn't they be the ones that controlled the Kelki? I knew it had great significance. I just didn't know there was anyone else involved.
The Saransi presently have control of the communication facilities. They've been restricting access to make their positions seem more powerful.
So you feel you have a legitimate claim on the Kelki? Are they illegally restricting communications or just not listening to a renegade group of terrorists? So you feel you have a legitimate claim on the Kelki?
We have as much claim to that probe as anyone.
It sounds like you have a legitimate grievance. Does the Saransi also have a right to the Kelki? Then why is the museum handing the Kelki over to the Saransi? It sounds like you have a legitimate grievance.
Don't patronize me. You'd say anything just to stop us. Since you'd really rather talk to the Saransi, why not start practicing what you're going to tell them when they find the Quelke has been taken?
Hello? Hello? He seems to have cut communications.
Damn it. Sorry about that. I mixed up. I said the wrong thing. I said it's been a little bit. Some of these puzzles can get a little confusing, and if you don't say the right thing, it could mix up everything on there. It's actually getting late.
I rigged up an isolated piece of
so I'm gonna save it here and then I'll continue in the next video when Scotty stops working.
Save, replace previous game.
So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.